Before we start tonight, I want to ask you something simple. Picture a dinosaur, any dinosaur, whatever comes to mind. Hold that image. Now, I want to tell you that almost everything about that image is wrong. The color, the sound, the skin, the posture, even the name of what you're picturing. Tonight, I'm going to rebuild that image from scratch. And when we're done, you'll never see a dinosaur the same way again. Drop a comment before you fall asleep. Tell me, what's the first dinosaur that came to mind? I read every single one. Number, opening, shocking idea. I grew up thinking I knew what dinosaurs looked like. Everyone does. We all do. We see the same images from childhood. The gray-green lizard skin, the cold reptilian eyes, the dragging tail, the slow, plodding movement, the roar that sounds like a lion filtered through a broken speaker, the Tyrannosaurus Rex standing upright, like a man in a costume with tiny arms, looking vaguely embarrassed. I grew up with those images. I believed them. I had plastic dinosaur toys that looked exactly like that. I watched documentaries that confirmed it. I read books that illustrated it. And somewhere in my 30s, after years of reading paleontology, following the new discoveries, watching the field transform itself, I realized something. Almost all of it was wrong, not slightly wrong, not off in small details. Fundamentally, completely, embarrassingly wrong. The dinosaurs I grew up with were not real animals. They were monsters, invented by the 19th century, corrected slightly by the 20th, and still not right, not until very recently. And some of it is still wrong now. Even in the best modern reconstructions, the real dinosaurs, the actual animals that walked this planet for 165 million years, was so different from what we were shown that if you saw one walking toward you, you might not recognize it. You might call it a bird or something else entirely. You would almost certainly not say dinosaur. Tonight, I want to tell you the truth about the most extraordinary animals that ever lived. The ones nobody showed you properly. The ones that were hidden, not by conspiracy, but by the limits of what scientists in the 19th century could imagine, and by the inertia of popular culture that kept showing us the same wrong images. For 150 years, the real dinosaurs are better than the fake ones. So much better. So settle in, let the night come in, and let me show you what was actually here, where the lie began, the Victorian monster factory. The word dinosaur was invented in 1842 by a British scientist named Richard Owen. He coined it from the Greek words Deinos, terrible, or fearfully great, and Sauros, lizard, terrible lizard. From the beginning, the framing was wrong. Owen was not the bad scientist. He was actually one of the greatest anatomists of the 19th century, a man of extraordinary intelligence and formidable ambition. He founded the Natural History Museum in London. He described and named more species than almost anyone before him. He was, by most measures, a giant of Victorian science. But he had an agenda, and that agenda shaped the dinosaur. Owen was creating dinosaurs to counter Charles Darwin, or more precisely, to counter the idea of evolution. Owen believed fervently, professionally, that species were created separately, that they did not evolve, that each animal was designed and made by God. And he saw dinosaurs as evidence for this. If dinosaurs were massive, complex, sophisticated animals, and they appeared in the fossil record fully formed, then that was evidence of special creation, not gradual evolution. He needed dinosaurs to be large and impressive and clearly different from anything alive today to make his argument work, and so he constructed them that way. Owen's dinosaurs, the ones unveiled to the public in the Crystal Palace exhibition of 1854, were built under his supervision by a sculptor named Benjamin Waterhouse Hawkins. Life-sized models set in the gardens of Crystal Palace Park in South London, where they still stand today. Owen's Megalosaurus, standing upright like a massive barrel-chested lizard. Owen's Iguanodon, four-legged, rhinoceros-shaped, with a horn on its nose that was actually its thumb. Owen's Hylaeosaurus, armored and ponderous. These were the dinosaurs of the Victorian imagination, and they were wrong in almost every particular, but they were magnificent, and they captured the public imagination in a way that nothing before them had. Here were ancient monsters, bigger than elephants, older than anything previously imagined, from a lost world, a world before humans. The public was electrified, and the image stuck. The gray-green, the four-footed lumbering, the cold reptilian presence, the terrible lizard was born, and it would take 150 years. The public was electrified, and the image stuck. The gray-green, the four-footed lumbering, the cold reptilian presence, the terrible lizard was born, and it would take 150 years to be replaced gradually, painfully, with a truth. The dinosaur is metaphor. This is something I think about, how the image of the dinosaur has always been used for cultural purposes, not scientific ones. In the Victorian era, evidence against evolution, proof of God's power and creativity. In the early 20th century, symbols of extinction, of what happens to things that cannot adapt. The dinosaur as a warning to empires, to industries, to anyone who refused to change. You'll end up like the dinosaurs. That became a saying. In the 20th century, the dinosaur is failure. As the species that couldn't hack it, that got wiped out. That serves as a cautionary tale for us. Both of those images, the Victorian monster and the 20th century failure, served human needs, but they told us almost nothing about the actual animals, the actual creatures who ruled this planet for 165 million years, who diversified into thousands of species, who survived multiple mass extinction events, who populated every continent, who grew to the largest sizes of any land animal in the history of life, who were, in many cases, extraordinarily intelligent and fast and social and probably beautiful in ways we are only now beginning to understand. The actual animals were not here. In the popular image, they were lost behind the monsters and the cautionary tales, the posture lie. They were not upright lizards. Let's start with the body, because the body of the popular dinosaur was wrong from the very beginning. For most of the 19th and early 20th centuries, dinosaurs were depicted as slow, upright, tail-dragging animals, like lizards, but enormous. The Tyrannosaurus rex of the early 20th century stood nearly vertical, like a man with its tail dragging along the ground behind it, its body nearly perpendicular to the earth, its head near the top. This was the image in museums, in textbooks, in movies for decades. The problem, the tracks were wrong. Dinosaur tracks had been found, in many locations, and the tracks showed a consistent pattern. The animals walked with their tails raised, not dragging. A dragging tail would leave a groove in the sediment. Between the footprints, there was no groove. In virtually any dinosaur trackway ever found, the tail was carried horizontally, off the ground, like a counterbalance, which made mechanical sense. And the body, if you actually look at the skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus rex and reconstruct it correctly, balancing the weight over the hips, the femur and tibia at the correct angles. The result is an animal leaning dramatically forward, nearly horizontal, with the tail extended behind. As a counterweight to the enormous head, the hips is the fulcrum, not an upright monster. A horizontal animal built for speed and for delivering the head forward. As a weapon, the tail-dragging image was the result of museums mounting skeletons incorrectly in the 19th and early 20th centuries. When they assembled dinosaur skeletons, they often arranged them like lizards or kangaroos, standing upright, because that seemed more impressive, more dramatic, more like the terrible lizard they had imagined. But it required the tail to drag, because otherwise the animal would tip over. The skeletons in museums were mounted wrong, and everyone based their images on those mounts, including the artists, including the filmmakers, including the people who made the toys. For generations, wrong. In 1969, a young paleontologist named John Ostrom published a paper about a small dinosaur called Deinonychus, terrible claw, a predatory dinosaur from Montana, about 3.5 meters long, with a large, sickle-shaped claw on each foot, clearly built for speed, clearly active, clearly agile. Ostrom's analysis of the skeleton showed an animal that was nothing like the popular image. Fast, warm-blooded, perhaps, socially hunting, like a wolf, not like a lizard. Ostrom's paper was the beginning of the dinosaur renaissance, the moment when the field began to fundamentally rethink what dinosaurs actually were, what they actually looked like, how they actually moved, how they actually lived. And the revolution that began in 1969 changed everything. Over the following 50 years, the cold-blooded lie, they were not slow-moving reptiles. Lizards are cold-blooded, ectothermic. Their body temperature is regulated externally by the sun, by the environment. They warm up in the morning. By sitting in the sun, they slow down when it's cold. They need less food because they don't need to generate heat. They can't sustain high energy activity for long because their metabolic machinery isn't designed for it. They are, in a specific and precisely defined sense, slow relative to warm-blooded animals, mammals and birds who generate their own heat, whose metabolism runs constantly, who can sustain high energy activity for long periods, who need much more food because they're using it to generate heat. For most of the history of paleontology, dinosaurs were assumed to be cold-blooded because they were reptiles, because their closest living relatives, crocodilians and lizards, are cold-blooded. This seemed obvious, seemed to follow from classification. It was wrong. The evidence that dinosaurs were warm-blooded, or at least endothermic in some form, has been accumulating since the 1970s, when the dinosaur renaissance really got going, and by now, the evidence is overwhelming, not controversial. The default position in paleontology is that dinosaurs were warm-blooded, or at least more physiologically similar to birds than to lizards. The bone evidence, when you cut open a dinosaur bone and look at it under a microscope, you see a specific pattern, fibrolamellar bone, a type of bone tissue that grows rapidly, that is associated with high metabolic rates, with warm-bloodedness. This is the bone tissue of birds and mammals, not of lizards, not of crocodilians. Dinosaur bones look like bird bones under the microscope, not like reptile bones. The growth rate evidence, by analyzing the growth rings in dinosaur bones, which are like tree rings. Paleontologists can calculate how fast dinosaurs grew, and dinosaurs grew fast, very fast. A Tyrannosaurus rex grew from hatchling to adult in about 20 years. An adult T. rex weighed about 8 tons, 8 tons in 20 years. That requires a warm-blooded metabolism. A cold-blooded animal of that size would take centuries to reach that mass. If it could at all, the posture evidence, the upright posture, the legs directly beneath the body, is the posture of warm-blooded animals, mammals and birds, not of cold-blooded reptiles, which sprawl, which walk with their legs to the sides. Dinosaurs walked erect, energetically, efficiently, like mammals, not like lizards. The posture itself is evidence of warm-bloodedness. The brain evidence, warm-blooded animals, in general, have larger brains relative to their body size than cold-blooded animals, because a warm-blooded animal can afford a larger, more energy-hungry brain because it has the metabolic capacity to support one. Dinosaur brain were not enormous, but they were larger relative to body size than comparably sized cold-blooded animals, suggesting a higher metabolic rate, a faster, more energetic lifestyle. And the direct evidence, the most direct, the feathers, which we will come to. Feathers are insulation. Insulation is for warm-blooded animals. Cold-blooded animals don't need insulation. They gain heat from the environment. Insulation would prevent that. Feathers on dinosaurs are evidence of warm-bloodedness, because only a warm-blooded animal would benefit from insulation. The feathers confirm it. The feather lie. They were not scaly lizards. This is the one that changes everything. The one that, when you really let it sink in, makes you look at birds differently. Forever, dinosaurs had feathers. Not all of them, not necessarily. The very large sauropods, the long-necked giants, probably did not have extensive feathers. Their size made insulation unnecessary. They were too large to lose heat quickly, like elephants today, which have sparse hair. But the smaller theropods, the bipedal predatory dinosaurs, from the smallest to the very large, had feathers or protofeathers, or filamentous structures that were clearly the precursors of feathers. And not just the tiny ones, the large ones, the ones that should definitely have been too warm to need feathers. Eutyrannus huali, a tyrannosaure from China, 9 meters long, 1,4 tonnes, had feathers. We know because the fossils preserve feather impressions directly in the rock. The feathers are there, clear, undeniable. Eutyrannus was a fluffy tyrannosaur, and Tyrannosaurus rex itself, we don't have direct feather evidence for adult T. rex. We have some skin impressions. that show scales on parts of the body, but skin impressions are rare and they don't cover the whole animal. The head, the neck, the back could have had feathers, and we would not know from the skin impressions we have, which come from the sides. And the belly, what we do know is that the relatives of T. rex, its evolutionary cousins, had feathers. Eutyranus had feathers. Dialong paradoxus, a small early tyrannosaur from China, had feathers. The entire Tyrannosaur family tree shows feathers in its earlier members, and then T. rex, the most derived, the most specialized, the largest, may have lost them as it grew larger and no longer needed insulation, or may have retained them on the head, on the neck, on the back, in a reduced form. We genuinely don't know. What we do know is that the popular image of T. rex, with its smooth, gray-green, lizard-like skin, is almost certainly wrong. A juvenile T. rex almost certainly had feathers, because juvenile tyrannosaurs were smaller and needed insulation. And the trend in the Tyrannosaur family is toward feathers. Baby T. rex was probably fluffy, a ball of feathers, with tiny legs and an enormous head, somewhat terrifying, somewhat adorable, definitely not the scaly monster. We were shown the Velociraptor problem. Oh, the Velociraptor problem. If Jurassic Park hurt you, I'm sorry, but it's gonna hurt more. The Velociraptor in Jurassic Park is wrong. In almost every particular, real velociraptors were about the size of a large turkey, not human-sized, turkey-sized. They weighed about 15 to 20 kilograms, not 67 to 87 kilograms. The movie Velociraptors were actually based on Deinonychus, which was much larger, but Spielberg liked the name Velociraptor. So Deinonychus became Velociraptor in the film, a different animal with a different name. Real velociraptors had feathers. We know this for certain, not from feather impressions, from quill knobs, small bumps on the forearm bones where flight feathers attach in modern birds. Velociraptor had quill knobs. It had large, pennaceous feathers on its arms. Like a bird, it looked like a large, ground-dwelling bird with a long tail and a distinctive sickle claw, not like a scaly lizard, not like the Jurassic Park monsters, a feathered, beaked, bird-like predator that couldn't open doors and would have been outrun by a determined person on foot because it was the size of a turkey. The Microraptor, a close relative of Velociraptor, had 4 wings, not 2, 2 on the arms, 2 on the legs. It was probably capable of some form of aerial locomotion, gliding, perhaps powered flight, a 4-winged dinosaur from China that lived 130 million years ago and looked like nothing. Anyone expected the color lie. They were not gray-green. The gray-green dinosaur, where did it come from? It came from the assumption that dinosaurs were like lizards, and lizards are green or brown or gray. So dinosaurs were green or brown or gray. This reasoning was not stated. It was assumed. It was built into the images without anyone questioning it. For 150 years, we know it was wrong because of melanosomes. Melanosomes are tiny structures inside cells that contain the pigments that give color to feathers and hair and skin. different shapes of melanosome, produce different colors. Spherical melanosomes, black or gray, sausage-shaped melanosomes, reddish-brown, elongated melanosomes, iridescent, and melanosomes can be preserved in fossils, in feather fossils, when the conditions are right, when the rock is fine-grained enough, detailed enough to preserve microscopic structures. In 2010, scientists published the first reconstruction of dinosaur color from melanosome evidence. The dinosaur, Sinosauropteryx, a small, early feathered dinosaur from China, about 1 meter long, covered in fine, hair-like protofeathers. The melanosome analysis showed reddish-brown protofeathers with the striped tail, alternating bands of reddish-brown and white, not gray, not green, reddish-brown with a striped tail, like a modern mammal. Since then, the technique has been applied to multiple feathered dinosaurs, and the results have been extraordinary. Anchiornis, a small four-winged dinosaur from China, closely related to birds, showed a detailed color pattern, black and white striped wings, a reddish-orange crest on the head, a speckled face. It looked like a bird. It was colored like a bird because it was, in evolutionary terms, essentially a bird. Microraptor, the four-winged dinosaur, had iridescent black feathers, like a modern crow or a starling in sunlight, the black shimmering with iridescence under bright light. A beautiful animal, an extraordinary animal, nothing like what we imagined. And these are only the feathered dinosaurs. The ones with the feather structure preserved the melanosomes. What about the large dinosaurs? The ones without feathers? The skin colors are unknown. We have no direct evidence. But we can infer from the environment they lived in, from the need for camouflage, from the need to signal to members of their species, from the behavior of modern large modern animals, elephants, hippopotamus, rhinoceroses, are not one color. They have subtle variations. They have lighter undersides and darker backs. They use mud and dust to change their apparent color. They may have patterns that are not obvious, but present. Large dinosaurs were probably not gray-green. They were probably colored in the way that large, social, behaviorally complex animals are colored for communication, for recognition, for camouflage, for species identification, in ways we cannot fully reconstruct, but which were there, vivid, varied, real. The sound lie. They did not roar. The roar, the famous dinosaur roar, the sound effect that defines the genre, that is in every dinosaur movie, every dinosaur documentary, every dinosaur toy. The deep, resonant, chest-shaking roar. Dinosaurs did not roar. Let me explain why, and why it matters. The roar is a mammalian sound. Lions roar, tigers roar. Large mammals produce these vocalizations using a larynx, the voice box that sits at the top of the trachea and can produce powerful, resonant sounds. Dinosaurs were not mammals. Dinosaurs were more closely related to birds, and birds don't roar. Birds sing, birds honk, birds hiss, birds click. Birds produce an extraordinary range of vocalizations, but none of them are roars, because birds use a different vocal organ, the syrinx, which sits at the bottom of the trachea, where it forks into the two bronchi. The syrinx is an extraordinarily sophisticated instrument that can produce two sounds simultaneously, that can create the complex musical vocalizations of birdsong. But it doesn't roar. The most likely dinosaur vocalizations, based on what we know about their anatomy and about the sounds produced by their living relatives, were closed mouth vocalizations, like the sounds made by crocodilians, who produce deep, resonant sounds by inflating air sacs without opening their mouths, like the boom of a cassowary, or the hiss of an ostrich, or the coo of a dove, or complex combinations of all of these. Some dinosaurs had unusual anatomy. That suggests unusual vocalizations. The hadrosaurs, the duck-billed dinosaurs, some of them had crests on their heads, elaborate, hollow crests that connected to the nasal passages. Parasaurolophus, with its long, curving crest that extended behind the skull. The crest was hollow, a complex chamber of nasal passages. Running through it, when scientists created a digital model of the nasal passages and simulated the sound they would produce, the result was a deep, resonant tone, around 30 to 60 hertz, very low frequency, very loud, something like a foghorn or a trombone, or the communication calls of elephants, which also use very low frequencies that travel great distances and can pass through dense vegetation without losing power. Parasaurolophus may have been calling to its herd across miles of Cretaceous forest in a voice no human ear was designed for, a voice we can barely hear, but which would have shaken the ground. The size lie, the biggest weren't the biggest. The biggest dinosaurs were not the ones you learned about in school. Tyrannosaurus rex, for decades, was held up as the largest land predator that ever lived, the king, the apex, the ultimate predator, the largest, the most powerful. It is not the largest theropod, not by a significant margin. Spinosaurus, the spine-backed predator from North Africa, was longer, significantly longer. Estimates range from 14 to 18 meters, compared to T. rex at 12 to 13 meters. Spinosaurus was probably heavier too, a semi-aquatic animal that hunted fish largely in the rivers of Cretaceous North Africa, more like a giant crocodile in behavior than like the land-based apex predator we imagine T. rex to be. And both of them were not the biggest dinosaurs, not even close. The biggest dinosaurs were the sauropods, the long-necked herbivores, the ones that could be 30 or 40 meters long, that weighed 50 or 70 or possibly 80 tons. That make T. rex look moderate. Argentinosaurus, from Argentina, one of the largest dinosaurs known, estimated at 30 to 40 meters long, 70 to Gatwington, possibly more. A single vertebra from Argentinosaurus is the size of a person, Patagotitan majorum, recently described from Patagonia, based on an extraordinarily complete skeleton, 37 meters long, 69 tonnes, one of the most complete giant sauropods ever found. And the bones tell us something remarkable. Patagotitan, when it died, was still growing, still getting larger. We don't know. how large it would eventually have been. The largest animals that ever walked on land were dinosaurs by a very large margin. Nothing else comes close. Not the mammoths, not the giant ground sloths, not any mammal that ever lived. The sauropods, the largest of them, were in a size class entirely their own. And the question of how they got that large and how they supported those bodies and how they moved and how they reproduced and how their physiology worked are questions that we still don't fully understand. How did they support those necks? The neck of Brachiosaurus was about 9 meters long, a single neck. The question of how a 9-meter neck was held up, moved, and supplied with blood to the brain has occupied paleontologists for decades. The neck was probably not held high, like a giraffe, most of the time. The most recent models suggest the neck was held roughly horizontally, or at a modest angle, sweeping side to side, reaching a very wide area, at a constant height, like a living lawnmower, moving through a vast swath of vegetation without needing to lift the neck up and down the heart to pump blood up a 9-meter neck to the brain would need to be enormous and generate pressures that would damage blood vessels. Mulan giraffes have elaborate physiological solutions to this problem: blood vessel valves, special capillary structures at the brain to prevent the blood pressure from damaging the brain. Sauropods probably had their own solutions we haven't found, because soft tissue doesn't fossilize, but which must have existed because the animals existed and lived for millions of years. The extinction lie, they didn't all die. The asteroid hit 66 million years ago in the Gulf of Mexico, near what is now the Yucatan Peninsula. The Chicxulub impactor, about 10 kilometers in diameter, moving at perhaps 20 kilometers per second, releasing energy equivalent to billions of nuclear bombs. The impact was catastrophic. The immediate effects were devastating. Ejecta thrown into the atmosphere, falling back, heating the upper atmosphere to temperatures that ignited fires across the world. Then the dust and soot blocking sunlight for months, perhaps years, collapsing photosynthesis, collapsing the food chains that depended on it. 75% of all species gone, including all non-avian dinosaurs. That is true, as far as it goes, but it leaves out the most important part, the part that changes everything. Birds are dinosaurs. We have said this before, but let me say it again, more emphatically. Birds are not descended from dinosaurs, are not related to dinosaurs, are not like dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs, avian dinosaurs, a specific lineage of the theropod dinosaurs that developed feathers and flight during the Jurassic and Cretaceous and survived the mass extinction, while their non-avian relatives did not. When you look at a pigeon on a park bench, you are looking at a dinosaur, a living dinosaur. When you hear a sparrow sing, you are hearing a dinosaur. When you watch an eagle catch a thermal, you are watching a dinosaur fly. When you eat chicken for dinner, you are eating a dinosaur. The dinosaurs did not go extinct. The group, the clade Dinosauria, is not extinct. It is alive in approximately 10,000 species of birds, more species of birds today than there were species of mammals when the asteroid hit. The dinosaurs diversified after the extinction into the birds we see today. And they are, by any biological definition, dinosaurs. So when someone says the dinosaurs are all dead, the accurate response is no, they're not. Look outside. There's one on that tree. The modern bird, seen through the lens of evolutionary biology, is not a descendant of dinosaur. It is a dinosaur. The relationship is not like the relationship between a human and their great-great-grandparent. It is more like the relationship between a wolf and a dog. The wolf is still alive. Dogs are a specialized form of wolf. But the wolf is still the wolf. Avian dinosaurs evolved from among the non-avian dinosaurs. As a specialized group, the non-avian dinosaurs went extinct. The avian dinosaurs survived and diversified and are with us today in every tree, in every sky, in every marsh, in every ocean. The dinosaurs are everywhere. They never left. The stupidity lie, they were not slow-witted reptiles. The image of dinosaurs as slow, stupid, lumbering, brainless is one of the most persistent and most wrong aspects of the popular image. The brain-to-body ratio is one crude measure of intelligence, and for most large dinosaurs, the ratio is not impressive. Stegosaurus, often cited as having a brain the size of a walnut, did have a small brain relative to its body, and Stegosaurus was not an intellectual by any reasonable measure, but then Stegosaurus was a large herbivore, like a cow or an elephant. And while elephants are famously intelligent, cows are not. Size of brain relative to body varies enormously among modern animals, and the correlation with behavior and cognition is imperfect. The intelligent dinosaurs were not Stegosaurus. They were the theropods, the bipedal predators, and among them, the brain-to-body ratios were considerably more impressive. Troodon, a small bipedal predator from the late Cretaceous of North America, had a brain-to-body ratio comparable to some modern birds, and some modern birds are extraordinarily intelligent. Crows, ravens, parrots show problem-solving abilities, tool use, planning, social learning. That was once thought to be uniquely mammalian or even uniquely human, and Troodon's brain was not smaller than a crow's relative to body size. The question, how intelligent was Troodon, is genuinely unanswerable. We cannot measure behavior from fossils. We can only measure anatomy and infer behavior from it. But the anatomy is suggestive. A large brain for a dinosaur, large eyes for a dinosaur, suggesting good vision in low light, perhaps nocturnal, or at least active at dawn and dusk. Forelimbs adapted for grasping, potentially capable of manipulating objects. Troodon may have been the most intelligent non-avian dinosaur known, and if the asteroid had not hit, if the Cretaceous had continued for another 65 million years, what might Troodon's lineage have become? One famous thought experiment by paleontologist Dale Russell in 1982 proposed an imaginary evolved Troodon descendant. called the Dinosauroid, a hypothetical intelligent dinosaur that had evolved over 65 million additional years. The Dinosauroid was upright, bipedal, with a large brain, large eyes, manipulative hands, something like intelligence. Russell used his paper to ask, if evolution tends to produce complexity, if intelligence is a generally useful adaptation, would intelligence have evolved? In dinosaurs, if they had been given more time, the question cannot be answered. But it is one of the most interesting questions in evolutionary biology, and it hangs over Trodon. Every time I think about it, the predator, lie, T-Rex was not what you think. Tyrannosaurus rex, the most famous animal that ever lived, the king, the apex, the monster, the symbol of everything frightening and ancient. Almost everything popular culture tells you about T-Rex is wrong. Let me go through it. The arms, the famous tiny arms that everyone jokes about, that seem to serve no purpose. That look ridiculous on an animal otherwise built for power. They were not useless. We think the arms of T-Rex were short, yes, but they were muscular, very muscular. The attachment points for muscles on the humerus and radius are large, indicating strong muscles. The arms could not reach the mouth. The arms could not be used to seize prey, in the way a modern predator seizes prey, but they were probably not vestigial, probably not on their way to disappearing. The current best hypothesis is that the arms were used for gripping during mating or for pushing up from a prone position. Getting up off the ground is a significant challenge for un huit d'un animal. The arms may have been the leverage used in that maneuver. The speed, was T-Rex fast? This has been debated for decades. Early estimates in the 1980s and 1990s put T-Rex at walking speed, too large and heavy to run, at risk of fatal injury from falling at any significant speed. More recent biomechanical analysis using computer models of the skeleton and muscle mass suggest a walking speed of 4 to 8 kilometers per hour, a trot perhaps faster, and a top speed that is genuinely uncertain, but probably not the 70 kilometers per hour that Jurassic Park suggested, more likely 17 to 25 kilometers per hour. Fast enough to outrun a jogging human, not fast enough to catch a sprinting one. But speed may not be the point. T-Rex may not have been a pursuit predator, running prey down over long distances. It may have been an ambush predator, waiting in cover for prey to approach, then attacking suddenly over a short distance with explosive power. This is what large carnivores often do. Lions, tigers, crocodilians, they wait, they ambush, they don't run marathons. T-Rex may have been the same. Patient, strategic, using the weight and the jaws, not the speed. The vision. Did T-Rex have forward-facing eyes? Yes. The eyes of T-Rex were positioned to give binocular vision, overlapping fields of view, in front of the animal, like a hawk, like an owl, like a human. Binocular vision evolved because it is useful for judging distances, for depth perception, for precisely targeting prey. In three-dimensional space, T-Rex had better depth perception than most modern predators, including hawks. The visual field overlap has been estimated at about 55 degrees, compared to 20 degrees in eagles, and 140 degrees in humans. T-Rex could judge distance precisely, could track moving prey, could follow the exact trajectory of a fleeing animal with its eyes before moving, before attacking. The vision of a predator designed for hunting, not for decoration. The smell. T-Rex had enormous olfactory bulbs. The brain regions devoted to smell were proportionally larger in T-Rex than in almost any modern animal. This suggests an extraordinary sense of smell, something like a vulture, which can smell carrion from kilometers away. T-Rex may have been able to smell blood from extraordinary distances, to track injured or dead animals over many kilometers. Combining this with powerful vision and formidable strength, T-Rex was not just a blunt instrument. It was a precision predator equipped with multiple sophisticated sensory systems designed over millions of years for the specific ecological role of apex predator in the late Cretaceous ecosystem. The scavenger debate: was T-Rex a predator or a scavenger? This debate became famous in the 1990s when Jack Horner, the paleontologist who served as the technical advisor for Jurassic Park, argued that T-Rex was primarily a scavenger, not a predator, based on the small arms, the likely slow speed, the large olfactory bulbs, suggesting it found food by smell, not by sight. His argument generated enormous controversy and an enormous amount of research. The consensus now is that T-Rex was primarily a predator who also scavenged. Like most modern large predators, lions kill and eat carcasses they didn't kill. Hyenas scavenge and hunt. The distinction between predator and scavenger is artificial. Most large carnivores do both. T-Rex did both, but the anatomy, the power, the vision, the binocular field all suggest an animal designed to hunt, to feint, to stalk, to attack, to kill, and then, like any sensible predator, to eat whatever else was lying around. The social lie: they were not solitary monsters. The popular image of dinosaurs is of solitary, independent, non-social monsters, each one in its own territory, encountering others only to fight or mate, and then separating again. The image of a solitary lizard scaled up. This was wrong. The evidence for social behavior in dinosaurs has been accumulating for decades. Herding. Many dinosaurs clearly lived in herds. Trackways collections of fossilized footprints show multiple animals moving together in the same direction at the same speed with a consistent spacing. That suggests a coordinated group, not individuals who happen to be going the same way. The herd of Tin 000 in Alberta, Canada, there is a bone bed, the Hodo bone bed or the Centrosaurus bone bed. In Dinosaur Provincial Park, an accumulation of Centrosaurus bones representing thousands of individuals, all of the same species, all of similar age, covered by river sediment, interpreted as a mass drowning event. I heard crossing a river when it flooded, and many individuals, perhaps thousands, drowned simultaneously and were deposited In this one location, a herd of thousands of Centrosaurus moving together, dying together on the same day, 66 million years ago. Parental care, the first evidence of parental care in non-avian dinosaurs, came from a remarkable discovery by Jack Horner in Montana in the 1970s. A nest of a hadrosaur, Namidmayasaura, good mother lizard. The nest contained eggs and hatchlings, and the hatchlings had worn teeth they had been eating before they could have left the nest on their own, which means they were being fed by an adult, by a parent who returned to the nest and brought food to the young. Parental care in that dinosaur demonstrated for the first time since then. Evidence of parental care has been found in multiple dinosaur species. The sauropod Massospondylus laid eggs in communal nesting sites, multiple females nesting in the same area at the same time, possibly for protection. Oviraptorosaurs, the dinosaurs that were first thought to be stealing eggs, but were actually sitting on them, brooding like birds. A fossil oviraptorid preserved, sitting on its nest with its arms spread, covering the eggs, the classic posture of an incubating bird in a non-avian dinosaur, 70 million years old, hunting together. The evidence for cooperative hunting in theropods is more controversial, but some tantalizing clues exist. Multiple trackways of predatory dinosaurs moving in the same direction at the same time without evidence of conflict, suggesting possibly that they were hunting together like a wolf pack, multiple bone beds with multiple individuals of the same predatory species associated with multiple individuals of a prey species, suggesting possibly a group hunt, not conclusive, but suggestive of something more complex than the solitary monster of popular imagination. The diversity lie. There were not just a few kinds. How many kinds of dinosaurs were there? The popular conception includes a handful: T-Rex, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, Brachiosaurus, Velociraptor. A few others, maybe 20 or 30, that come to mind, that are commonly depicted. The actual number is in the hundreds of named species, about 700 to 1,000 named species of non-avian dinosaurs, with new ones being described every year. New discoveries from new places, new rock formations, new continents that hadn't been intensively surveyed before, and the named species are almost certainly a small fraction of the species that actually lived. The conditions for fossilization are very specific. Only a tiny fraction of organisms are ever fossilized. Most are eaten, decomposed, lost. The fossil record is a sample, a very incomplete sample, of the animals that actually lived. Paleontologists estimate that we have found perhaps 1 inch 1,000 or 1 inch 10,000 of the dinosaur species that ever existed. The dinosaur diversity that actually walked this planet for 165 million years was extraordinary, beyond anything we can currently catalog or imagine. They occupied every continent, every major habitat, every ecological niche available to large land animals, large herbivores, small herbivores, apex predators, mid-level predators, insectivores, omnivores, semi-aquatic forms, polar forms, desert forms, forest forms, coastal forms. Dinosaurs were not a single ecological category. They were a dynasty, a radiation, an explosion of forms that filled the Mesozoic world. The way mammals fill the modern world, or perhaps more completely, because they had 165 million years to diversify. The polar dinosaurs, this one surprises people. Dinosaurs in the Arctic? Yes. Dinosaurs in Antarctica? Yes. During the Cretaceous. The poles were warmer than today, but they still had polar winters. Long, dark, cold by the standards of the tropics. And yet, dinosaur fossils have been found in Alaska, in Antarctica, in Australia, which was partially in the polar region during the Cretaceous. What did they do in the polar winter? Did they migrate? Some of them, probably some of the trackways, suggest large-scale migrations of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Did some of them stay through the winter? Some of them, possibly, the small-bodied ones who could forage on the snow or find enough to eat. In the reduced winter landscape, the polar dinosaurs faced challenges that their tropical cousins did not, and found solutions we can only guess at from the traces they left. The landscape lie. The Mesozoic world was alien. The world the dinosaurs lived in was not the world we know, not even close. No grass. This one is fundamental and almost never mentioned. The grass is the family Poaceae, which includes wheat, rice, corn, sugarcane, bamboo, and the grasslands and prairies and savannas that define so much of the modern landscape did not exist. During most of the Mesozoic, grass evolved, late in the Cretaceous, perhaps 65 to 70 million years ago, during the last few million years of the dinosaurs' reign, and it only became the dominant vegetation of vast landscapes after the dinosaurs were gone. So what did the landscape look like in the Jurassic, in the Triassic, in most of the Cretaceous? There were ferns, ground cover made of ferns, vast fern prairies. Instead of grassland, there were cycads, palm-like plants with stiff, spiny fronds. There were conifers, but not the same conifers we have today. Different species, different families. There were tree ferns, there were seed ferns, there were ginkgos, the ancient tree that has barely changed in 200 million years, still alive today, in parks, in cities, living fossils. From the dinosaur world, flowering plants evolved in the early Cretaceous, about 130 to 125 million years ago, and diversified rapidly through the Cretaceous. So by the end of the Cretaceous, the last dinosaurs were living in a world that was beginning to look more recognizable, with flowering plants, some grasses, some early relatives of modern flowering trees, but it was still strange, still alien to our eyes. The continents were in different positions. During the Triassic, they were still assembled into Pangaea, the supercontinent, one enormous landmass spanning from the South Pole to the Arctic. The dinosaurs evolved on Pangaea and spread across it before it began to break apart by the Jurassic. Pangaea was splitting into Laurasia in the north and Gondwana in the south, and the Atlantic Ocean was beginning to open between what would become North America and what would become Europe and Africa by the Cretaceous. The continents were approaching something like their modern configuration, but still significantly different. The Western Interior Seaway, a shallow inland sea, running from the Gulf of Mexico to the Arctic Ocean, divided North America into two land masses. The sea teemed with mosasaurs, enormous predatory lizards up to 2 meters long, and plesiosaurs, long-necked marine reptiles, and giant sea turtles. A whole ecosystem of enormous marine reptiles that shared the world with the dinosaurs, but lived in the water, not on the land. The temperature was warmer than today, significantly warmer. During the Cretaceous, there was no polar ice. At either pole, the poles had forests, temperate forests. Near the poles, the sea surface temperatures in the tropics may have been 30 degrees or more. The world was a greenhouse, a warm, wet, lush world with higher sea levels, with shallow inland seas, with forests from pole to pole. The world that dinosaurs lived in was more alive, in some ways more vegetated, more oceanic than the world we know. The flight lie, how birds actually evolved. How did birds evolve from dinosaurs? This is one of the most extraordinary stories in evolutionary biology, and it is only now being told properly. The old story was that birds evolved from ground-running dinosaurs who developed feathers for insulation and gradually developed the ability to run fast and jump and eventually glide and eventually fly. The ground-up theory. The new story is more complicated and more interesting and probably more accurate. The first bird-like dinosaurs were tree dwellers, or at least had some arboreal capability. The four-winged Microraptor, with its wings on both arms and legs, was probably a tree dweller that glided from tree to tree or tree to ground, using the four-wing configuration for lift and control. Archaeopteryx, the famous transitional form, the most bird-like of the non-avian dinosaurs, or the most dinosaur-like of the true birds, depending on how you define the boundary, had features of both. Claws on its wings, a toothpick, a bone tail, features of dinosaurs, but feathers and a wishbone, and a brain adapted for flight, features of birds. Archaeopteryx could probably fly, not powerfully, not for long distances, but fly, or at least glide strongly, moving between trees or from trees to the ground. It occupied the transition between the dinosaur and the bird, in its anatomy, in its lifestyle, in the specific moment of that long evolutionary journey that took feathered dinosaurs and turned them into birds. The origin of flight was probably a combination of both routes, ground up and trees down, different lineages, developing different aspects of the flight apparatus for different reasons, in different ecological contexts, and eventually multiple approaches converging on the solution that worked. Powered flight with the specific wing shape and tail configuration, and muscle arrangement and feather design of the modern bird. The first true birds by the end of the Cretaceous were already diversifying, already occupying multiple ecological niches, already looking in some ways like modern birds, Hesperornithus, flightless diving birds like giant penguins, plunging into the western interior seaway to catch fish, Enantiornithus, the opposite birds, a diverse group that occupied the tree-dwelling and flying niches of the Cretaceous world. These are not the ancestors of modern birds. They went extinct in the same extinction that took the non-avian dinosaurs. The ancestors of modern birds were a different lineage, more ground-dwelling, less spectacular, that survived and diversified after the extinction into the 10,000 species of birds we have today. The extinction line revisited, it was not simple. The asteroid hit and everything died, right? Not exactly. The story is more complicated, more interesting, and more relevant than the simple version, the Deccan traps, before and during and after the asteroid impact. A series of massive volcanic eruptions in what is now India was erupting, releasing enormous quantities of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. The Deccan traps were one of the largest volcanic events in the last 100 million years, and they were erupting for hundreds of thousands of years before the asteroid hit, changing the climate, warming it, acidifying the oceans, stressing ecosystems. The question of what killed the dinosaurs, the asteroid or the Deccan traps, or the combination, is still actively debated. Most paleontologists credit the asteroid as the primary cause of the end Cretaceous extinction, but the Deccan traps were almost certainly making things worse. Before the asteroid hit and may have delivered a final destabilizing blow, after it, when the asteroid impact may have intensified the Deccan volcanism through seismic activity triggered by the impact. The pattern of the extinction was not uniform. Different groups lost different proportions of their species. Marine plankton lost perhaps 90% of species. Non-avian dinosaurs lost all of them. Dinosaurs lost all of them. Large marine reptiles lost all of them, but crocodilians survived nearly intact. Some turtles survived, some lizards survived, many mammals survived. All bird lineages survived. Why did some survive and others not? The answer involves multiple factors. Body size. Small animals can survive on less food for longer periods in the collapsed food chain of the post-impact world. Habitat, animals that could burrow or live underwater, were more protected from the immediate effects of the impact, the heat pulse, the fires, the cold. Did animals that could eat whatever was available, seeds, insects, decaying matter, were better positioned than animals That required specific live prey or specific living plants. The survivors were generalists, small-bodied, flexible, capable of living in the harsh, resource-poor post-impact world. And from those survivors, the modern world was built. The bones we found, the history of discovery, how did we find them? The story of dinosaur discovery is extraordinary, full of accidents and obsessions and fights and remarkable individuals who dedicated their lives to pulling the past out of rock. The Bone Wars, one of the most remarkable episodes in the history of science. Two men, Othniel Charles Marsh and Edward Drinker Cope, both paleontologists, both brilliant, both extraordinarily competitive, both deeply unethical, competed in the 1870s and 1880s to discover and describe as many dinosaurs as possible, more than anyone else, faster than anyone else, better than anyone else. They hired spies to watch each other's excavations. They had their workers destroy specimens that couldn't be moved. Rather than let the other find them, they dynamited quarries when they left to prevent competitors from accessing the material. They described species from incomplete or even wrong as specimens in their rush to be first. The result of this extraordinary, deeply flawed, competitive frenzy was that dozens of new dinosaur species were described for the first time in a few years. The foundational period of American dinosaur paleontology was built on this rivalry, driven by ego and funded by obsession and tainted by fraud. And still, the discoveries were real, the fossils were real, the new species were real. Science advances, sometimes through competition, even unethical competition. The Gobi Desert expeditions in the 1920s, Roy Chapman Andrews of the American Museum of Natural History led a series of expeditions into the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, looking for the origin of humans. In Central Asia, he didn't find human ancestors. He found dinosaur eggs. For the first time in the history of science, he found nesting sites. He found Protoceratops. He found Velociraptor. He found the evidence that dinosaurs reproduced, like birds, by laying eggs and possibly nurturing their young. Andrews was the model for Indiana Jones, the explorer scientist in the field, finding extraordinary things in extraordinary places and bringing them back to a world that didn't know they existed. The Chinese Revolution in the 1990s and 2000s, the most important development in dinosaur paleontology since the Bone Wars was the opening up of Chinese fossil localities to international research. The Yixian Formation in Liaoning Province in northeastern China is one of the most important fossil sites in the world, a lacustrine environment, a lake deposit from the early Cretaceous, about 130 million years old, preserved in extraordinary detail because of the specific conditions of the lake sediments, which were fine-grained and anoxic, preventing decomposition and preserving not just bones, but soft tissue, feathers, scales, color patterns, skin, internal organs. In some cases, the Yichun Formation has produced feathered dinosaur after feathered dinosaur, species after species, each one adding to the picture of what the ancestors of birds actually looked like, actually were, each one confirming and extending the revolution that John Ostrom started in 1969 with Deinonychus, and that is still ongoing, still producing surprises, still changing the story. Every year, the new tools, how science changed everything, paleontology in the 21st century is not the same field as paleontology in the 20th century. The tools are completely different. The questions are completely different. The answers are completely different. CT scanning, computed tomography, the same technology used to scan human patients in hospitals can scan dinosaur skulls non-destructively without cutting into the bone and produce three-dimensional digital models of the interior of the skull, including the brain cavity, the ear canals, the nasal passages, the sinuses, the blood vessel pathways, everything that would have been filled with soft tissue during life. From the brain cavity, paleontologists can reconstruct the size and shape of the brain, and from the size and shape, infer something about behavior, about cognitive capabilities, about sensory systems, about the way the animal perceived and interacted with its world. The olfactory bulbs of T. rex were enormous relative to the brain, suggesting an extraordinary sense of smell. The visual cortex was well developed, consistent with good vision, the cerebellum, which controls coordination, and balance was large, suggesting an agile animal, not the lumbering monster of popular culture. Synchrotron imaging, even more powerful than CT scanning, can reveal structures at the cellular level in fossil bone, can show the individual bone cells and their patterns, the melanosomes in fossil feathers that revealed the colors of ancient dinosaurs, isotope analysis, the chemical signatures preserved in fossil bone can tell you what the animal ate, what environment it lived in, how old it was when it died, whether it was migratory, moving between isotopically distinct environments, what season it died in, what its growth rate was. A chemical autobiography written in the atoms of the bones, ancient proteins in some extraordinarily well-preserved specimens. Proteins have been recovered from dinosaur bone, not DNA. DNA degrades too quickly, even under the best conditions, to survive millions of years. But proteins, some proteins, are more stable and have been recovered from specimens tens of millions of years old. Collage from T. rex has been analyzed and compared to the collagen of modern animals, and the comparison shows the closest living relative of T. rex is not the alligator or the lizard, is the chicken. The proteins of T. rex are most similar to the proteins of birds, not of crocodilians, not of lizards, birds, the species we never expected, the strangest dinosaurs Among the many hundreds of described dinosaur species are some so strange that when they were found, scientists initially thought the fossil was wrong, was a chimera, a confused mixture of different animals put together by mistake or by fraud. That's how strange they were. A Spinosaurus, the largest theropod already mentioned, but its strangeness goes beyond size. A Spinosaurus was semi-aquatic. This was not suspected. For most of the history of the specimen, the first Spinosaurus material was described in 1915 by Ernst Stromer von Reichenbach, a German paleontologist working in Egypt. The original fossils were destroyed in 1944 in an Allied bombing of Munich, where they were stored during World War II. The fossils that Stromer had spent his career collecting, destroyed in the war, new Spinosaurus material was found in Morocco in the 2000s and 2010s, and the new material was extraordinary and confusing. The legs were short, very short for a theropod. The feet were flat, not the bird-like feet of a cursorial theropod, but flat. The bones were denser, like a penguin's or a crocodile's. Dense bone is a ballast adaptation for animals that spend time in water who need to sink rather than float. The teeth were conical, like a crocodile's, no blade-like a predator of terrestrial prey. They were fish-catching teeth. A Spinosaurus spent significant time in rivers, wading, swimming, catching fish. In the rivers of Cretaceous North Africa, a river monster, not a land predator. Therizinosaurus, first found in Mongolia. In 1954, the original material was just claws, enormous claws, up to 2 centimeters long, the longest claws of any known animal in the history of life. The scientists who found them thought they were sea turtle ribs. That's how strange they looked. Eventually, more complete material revealed the full picture. A large theropod, bipedal, long-necked, with enormous arms ending in those massive claws, and the toothless beak. Therizinosaurus was a herbivore, a theropod, a member of the group that includes T-Rex and Velociraptor that had evolved to eat plants with those enormous claws used to pull vegetation down from tall trees, a gentle giant with the most terrifying claws in the history of life. Ye-ke, the most bizarre dinosaur. In my opinion, Ye-ke, the name means strange wing in Mandarin, a small dinosaur from the Middle Jurassic of China, about the size of a pigeon that had membranous wings, not feathered wings, membranous, like a bat, or Apterosaur, not like a bird. Each had a unique wrist bone that supported a membrane between the arm and the body. It could glide or possibly fly, but not with feathered wings. With a membrane, a dinosaur with bat-like wings. That is not a pterosaur, not a bat, not a bird, something completely different. An evolutionary experiment that didn't lead anywhere, that left no living descendants. But that tells us how extraordinarily diverse the forms of dinosaur were, how many different solutions were tried for the problem of moving through the air. Carnotaurus, the bull-eating from South America, had horns, real horns, bony horns, above the eyes, a bipedal predator with horns like a bull, which is where the name comes from. What were the horns for? We don't know. Display, combat, species recognition, sexual selection. Carnotaurus also had tiny arms, even shorter relative to body size than T-Rex, almost vestigial, reduced to the point where they were barely functional as limbs, and Carnotaurus had a wide, unusual skull that may have been specialized for a snapping, high-speed bite. A predator built differently from T-Rex, living in a different ecosystem in South America, which was an island continent during the Cretaceous, with its own unique evolutionary history. What the fossils feel like, the human experience of discovery. I want to stop here and talk about what it feels like to hold a fossil. I have held a dinosaur bone, not a cast, not a replica, the actual bone, a fragment from a hadrosaur from the Hell Creek Formation in Montana, given to me by a paleontologist who had collected it legally from public land. The bone was heavy, heavier than I expected, because it was mineralized, the original bone material, replaced over 66 million years by minerals, by silica, by calcium carbonate, by whatever was available in the groundwater that saturated the sediment and replaced atom by atom the original structure, preserving the shape, the texture, the internal architecture of the original bone, but replacing the material with stone. It was dark, brownish gray, heavy, with the texture and weight of stone, but shaped like bone, with the specific intricate organic geometry of a bone, the cancellous interior, the compact outer surface, the specific shapes that bone makes when it grows around the vessels and cells that shaped it. When it was alive and holding it, I thought about what it had been 66 million years ago. This weight in my hand was once inside a living animal, was once wrapped in muscle and covered with skin, was once moving through a world that no longer exists, through a landscape that has since been buried, eroded, transformed into the Montana that exists today. This piece of stone was once alive. That feeling of holding deep time in your hands is something that words don't fully capture, but something that anyone who has held the fossil will recognize. The weight of it is not just the weight of mineralized bone, it is the weight of time, of the vast gulf of time between the world that made this and the world in which you are standing, holding it, trying to imagine what it was, the living dinosaurs, what we see every day. Let me bring this back to the present, to the world outside your window, because the dinosaurs are not gone. Every bird you see is a dinosaur. Let me list what that means. Practically, the songbird in your garden is a dinosaur, more closely related to Velociraptor than Velociraptor is to a lizard. The chicken you eat is a dinosaur, descended from theropod dinosaurs through an unbroken chain of evolutionary steps going back 160 million years or more. The chicken is a living tyrannosaur, distant, transformed, but the same clade, the hummingbird hovering at the feeder, is a dinosaur, the most agile flyer in the world, capable of hovering, of flying backwards, of moving in any direction with extraordinary precision. A dinosaur that weighs 3 grams and beats its wings 50 times per second. The eagle soaring on a thermal is a dinosaur with a wingspan of 3 meters and eyesight that can see a rabbit from 3 kilometers. A dinosaur that can dive at 300 kilometers per hour. The penguin waddling on Antarctic ice is a dinosaur, a flightless one that trades air for water, that can swim at 25 kilometers per hour, that can dive 600 meters in pursuit of fish. A dinosaur, the crow, solving problems, recognizing faces, using tools, mourning its dead, teaching its young, is a dinosaur, a highly intelligent, social, complex dinosaur. When you see birds, see dinosaurs. When you hear birdsong, hear dinosaurs. When you watch a hawk bend its wings and drop in a perfect hunting stoop, see a dinosaur doing what dinosaurs have always done since long before there were eyes, to watch them, the lie we needed to believe. Why the wrong image persisted? Why did the wrong image persist for so long? The answer is not just scientific inertia. It is deeper than that. The monster version of dinosaurs served a purpose. In human culture, we needed a monster. We always need monsters. Something that is powerful and dangerous and not human, that we can project our fears onto, that we can slay in stories or watch from a safe distance in movies or hold in plastic in the palm of a child's hand and feel temporarily safe because we are here. And the monster is not the dinosaur's monster, is the dragon, is the Leviathan, is the thing in the dark that our stories have always needed. The difference is the dinosaur was real, and that reality made the monster more satisfying, more useful, more emotionally resonant than any purely fictional monster, because you could point to the bones and say, this was real, this existed, this walked on the same ground you walk on, and was enormous and terrible, and is gone, and you are here in its place, smaller, softer, but here, alive. When it is not, the monster version gave us the comforting story of human exceptionalism. We replaced the dinosaurs. We inherited the earth. We are the point, the culmination, the success story. After all that terrible lizardy failure, we are what the earth was working toward. This, us, right now. The monsters are gone, and we are here, but that story was wrong. In almost every particular, the dinosaurs were not failures. They were extraordinarily successful. They dominated the planet for 165 million years. They diversified into thousands of forms. They occupied every available niche. They survived multiple extinction events before the final one, and they are still here in the form of birds, still diversifying, still occupying niches, still extraordinarily successful. We did not replace them. We are newcomers in a world they have occupied for incomparably longer than we have. We are not the point. We are the latest chapter in a story that started long before us and that will continue long after, if we give it the chance, the new image, what they actually look like. Let me build for you the correct image of a few of the most famous dinosaurs. The real velociraptor, turkey-sized, covered in brown and black feathers, with large, pennaceous flight feathers on its arms that it cannot use for flight, but that it holds away from its body for balance or display. A long feathered tail, for agility, a narrow, toothy snout with a beak, partially, large eyes, warm-blooded, active, fast, running on its hind legs, with the sickle claw on each foot, held up off the ground to keep it sharp, waiting for the moment when it will be pressed into prey and hooked and used not as a slashing weapon, but as a pinning weapon, holding prey while the jaws and the hands do the killing, looking almost like a slightly sinister ground-dwelling hawk with a long tail and teeth. The real Tyrannosaurus rex, larger than you think, 12 meters long, 8 tonnes, walking horizontal, tail up, head forward, at the end of a muscular neck, moving with a rolling gait, unhurried. Patient, the head enormous, with those forward-facing eyes, and the small arms tucked close, held tight, not dangling uselessly, but held in reserve. The skin probably varied, scales on the flanks and belly, possibly some feathers on the head, on the neck, in a reduced ornamental display, not a full plumage, but enough to show, to communicate across the distance between two 8-ton animals who need to know whether to fight or to mate or to leave each other alone. The real Brachiosaurus, a creature that defies easy analogy. 15 meters tall. At the head, that is 15 meters tall as a 5-story building. At the head, moving slowly on 4 pillar-like legs. The neck held not giraffe high, but at an angle, sweeping like an enormous broom through the canopy of Jurassic vegetation. The sound of its breathing would be audible from hundreds of meters. The footfalls felt through the ground before heard. The skin probably varied in color, perhaps with patches or stripes or mottling for species recognition, for something, because an animal this large, this visible, this impossible to hide, had no need of camouflage, but had every reason for display. The next discovery is what is still to come. We are not done, not even close. Every year, new dinosaurs are described from every continent, including Antarctica, from new rock formations, from new countries that didn't have active paleontology programs before and now do. Africa is one of the least explored continents for dinosaur paleontology. The rocks are there, the right age, the right conditions, but the fieldwork has been limited by funding, by infrastructure, by access, and the few expeditions that have gone to African rock formations of the right age have found extraordinary things. Spinosaurus from Morocco, Carcharodontosaurus, another enormous predator from North Africa, almost as large as T-Rex, with serrated teeth, designed for cutting, not crushing. South America has been extraordinarily productive for the largest sauropods and for many unusual lineages that evolved in the isolation of the island continent during the Cretaceous. Australia and New Zealand have yielded remarkable discoveries in recent years, including sauropods that lived at high latitudes in polar conditions during the Cretaceous, and China is still producing every season new feathered dinosaurs from the Yishan Formation, new species, new forms, new colors, new behaviors, preserved in the fine-grained rock of ancient lake beds. The most extraordinary discoveries may still be in the ground, waiting for the right expedition, the right rock exposure, the right eyes to see them. The history of paleontology is full of stories of fossils found by accident, by local farmers, by children, by people who were looking for something else and found the bones of an animal that no one knew had existed until that moment. What they mean, the philosophical question, what do the dinosaurs mean, beyond the science, beyond the reconstruction, beyond the new images, and the feathers and the colors. What does it mean to know that these animals existed, that they were here, that they are, in a very real sense, still here? They mean time, real time, deep time, not the shallow time of human history, which goes back a few thousand years, to the first cities, not the slightly deeper time of our species, which goes back a few 100,000 years to the African savanna, but deep time, geological time, the time in which the dinosaurs existed for 165 million years. And before them, their ancestors, going back further, and before them, other animals, going back further still, to the first cells, 3.7 billion years ago. The existence of the dinosaurs puts our own existence in a perspective that is uncomfortable and important. We have been here for an eye blink. We have changed the world in that eye blink more than any other species in such a short time. And the question of whether we are the extraordinary success story we tell ourselves we are, or whether we are a geological accident that is running out of time, is a question that the dinosaurs, in their 165 million years of existence, make more urgent, not less. They also mean wonder, the genuine, unreserved, awestruck wonder of the child who picks up a dinosaur toy and feels something that is not available anywhere else. Ardor to the deep past, to the world before people, to the animals that were so different and so extraordinary that no amount of familiarity makes them ordinary, even now, even after 150 years of museums and movies and toys. The dinosaurs are still extraordinary, still capable of producing wonder in anyone who really pays attention, who really tries to see them as they were, not as the monsters we were shown, but as the animals they actually were, and that in a world that is very good at making the extraordinary seem ordinary, is itself extraordinary. Number closing the long quiet, you are lying on a planet that was once covered in dinosaurs, right now in the ground, and consider for a moment what it means that we know this, that a species that has existed for 300,000 years on a planet 4.5 billion years old has managed to reach back into the rock and read the story of creatures that lived and breathed and called to each other 66 million years ago. We did that with hammers and brushes and patience and the particular human refusal to leave a question unanswered. Think about the first fossil ever found by someone who understood what they were looking at, abone, in rock. That was once a living thing. The weight of that moment, the silence that must have followed, the realization that the world was older than anyone had imagined, that life had been here long before we arrived to notice it. The bones tell us things that nothing else can. They tell us that Maya Saura, the good mother lizard, stayed with her nest, fed her young the way a bird feeds its young. Today, that Troodon had eyes so large, so forward-facing, that it could see in the dark of a Cretaceous night in 3 dimensions, the way an owl sees, the way you see that some sauropods traveled in herds, the young in the center, protected by the adults on the outside, the way elephants move today across the same ancient instinct of keeping the small ones safe. These were not monsters. They were parents and hunters and travelers and sleepers. They had days that began and ended. They felt in whatever way animals feel, the warmth of the sun on the skin, or feathers, or escales. They drank from rivers that no longer exist, in landscapes that have become mountains and deserts and ocean floor. They slept under stars that have since moved across the sky. And here is something worth holding quietly in the mind before sleep. The Cretaceous world, that world of warm, shallow seas and flowering plants, just beginning their extraordinary diversification. That world is not entirely gone. It is in the rock beneath your feet. The chalk beneath Europe is Cretaceous ocean floor. The oil beneath the deserts is Cretaceous life, compressed over millions of years into the fuel we burn. Today, the world we live in is built from the world they lived in. Their carbon is our carbon. Their ocean floor is our bedrock Their sky eventually became our sky, and the animals that survived, the small ones, the feathered ones, the ones that could eat seeds, through the long, dark winter that followed the impact, they carried something forward through the catastrophe, through the cold, through the years of darkness when the sun was hidden by dust and the forests fell silent. They carried the lineage forward from those survivors. In 66 million years came 10,000 species of birds. The hummingbird, 2 grams, hovering with wings that beat 80 times per second. The albatross, crossing entire oceans without landing for years. Its wings spun 3.5 meters, riding the wind above water so deep that no light has ever reached the bottom. The crow, watching you from the telephone wire with eyes that recognize faces, that remember people that have wronged them for years. These are dinosaurs, everyone. And in the deep rock, the non-avian ones, the great ones, sleep Triceratops in the Hell Creek Formation under what is now Montana, Spinosaurus in the Sahara, Onocene, that was once a river delta, Argentinosaurus in Patagonia, on the stone that was once a floodplain in the Cretaceous summer. They are still there. The bones slowly mineralizing, slowly becoming rock. The boundary between bone and stone dissolving over millions of years until there's no difference between the animal and the earth. It became, this is not loss, not entirely. It is transformation, the same transformation that turned ancient forests into coal, that turned ancient sayas into limestone, that turned ancient life into the ground. We walk on, everything becomes something else. Eventually, the dinosaurs became the rock, and the oil and the birds and the carbon in the atmosphere and the calcium in your bones. You are in some small, unmeasurable, but real way made of dinosaur. Let that thought settle, not as metaphor, as chemistry. The carbon atoms in your body have been many things before they were you. Some of them were part of the Cretaceous world, part of a plant that a hadrosaur ate 66 million years ago, part of the hadrosaur for a while, then part of the soil, the rock, the ocean, the atmosphere, then part of a plant again, then part of something that ate the plant, then eventually, after countless transformation, through countless living things and unliving things, part of you tonight in the quiet. The world is very old, and you are, for this moment, part of it, not separate from it, not visiting it, part of it made of the same atoms that have made everything else that has ever lived on this planet, the same carbon, the same oxygen, the same ancient chemistry that assembled itself into a dinosaur 66 million years ago has assembled itself into you now. So when you close your eyes, tonight, and the world outside grows quiet, and the birds, the last descendants of the great dynasty, settle into their trees and tuck their heads under their wings and sleep as their ancestors slept. In the Cretaceous dark, you are not alone. In the ancient sense, you are continuous, with all of it, with the bones in the rock and the birds in the trees and the carbon cycling through the world as it has cycled for billions of years. Rest now, while the dinosaurs sing in the trees and the ancient bones sleep in the rock, and the world turns as it has always turned since long before any of this was ours. Close your eyes. The dinosaurs are singing, and the earth holds everything that has ever lived. Quietly in the dark beneath us, sleep